It is time for a new favorite characters tier list. Alright, so I decided to pick a huge amount of Blue Lock characters to create an updated tier list of characters I like and dislike. And to be honest, I just picked whoever came across my mind, so I'm apologizing in advance if I forgot someone. So yeah, if you haven't watched my old tier list, you can do that by clicking on the link in the description. I think I've uploaded my former tier list video around 1 year ago, so obviously much should have changed now that we got many more chapters since then and since I've reread and researched Blue Lock a lot more during this year. By the way, don't forget that this list is based on characters I like and dislike, so just because there perhaps will be a strong character in a bad tier doesn't automatically mean that the character is weak or unpopular. The criteria of this list is just pure popularity from the point of my own view, not yours, also not Jeremiah's. Alright? And also keep in mind that this video has spoilers until chapter 208, so if you don't want to get spoiled, avoid this video. Alright, let's get right into it. Starting off the list does Agi, and Agi is a cool character that I like a lot. His kind of mysterious doctor of ergonomics and mentor role for Nagi was a very interesting side story during the Best at Munich and manshine match, so B tier for Agi. Next up is Oliver Iku, and the handsome and badass Cap is the first to join S tier as he's one of my favorite characters. His background story of why he became a defender and how he still can relate to why all of the Blue Lock members want to become the world's best striker is cool, and besides his awesome character design, Iku also has great defending skills and I can't wait to see him in the Best at Munich match. Then we have Anri, who I did kind of dirty in my former tier list, I gotta admit, and I actually don't know why. Anri is the only female character that we basically have in the whole manga, and she's lovely and she's also taking care of Ego, so she deserves a B tier. Tokimitsu, one of the most underrated characters, gets a bit of a downgrade, as he kind of annoyed me a bit in the anime. But nevertheless, I still like Tokimitsu, and I really wish that we could see him play more often, as his potential is insane. He can definitely become one of the world's best defenders. Naruhaya goes straight into S tier. After his 2v2 match against Nagi and Isagi, he instantly became one of my favorite characters. For me, this match still is one of the most emotional matches to this day, as he played his heart out and also managed to encourage Isagi to never give up, although he got eliminated, and it was just heartbreaking to see. Adam Blake, who is one of the World 5 members, is for sure a very interesting character who I wanna see more in the future. Barazuta is the first character to join the D tier and therefore is a character that I dislike. I mean, he had no confidence in the project from the beginning and tried to manipulate it, so why should someone like him? Like Blake, Savassos goes into D tier. Joe is the first character to join E tier, as I don't really care much about him and can't even remember what he did in the match against Blue Lock 11. Cristiano Ronaldo, or better, Chris Prince, goes into B tier. To be honest, I'm not really impressed with his skills on the field, at least what we got to see so far, but Prince is such a funny character off the field, which is the reason I kinda like him. A first controversial option we got here with Ego, and last time I put Ego into characters I dislike, this time I put him into C tier. Decent. I still don't like Ego that much, but I like how he treated Yukimiya recently, for example, and he got less crazier than at the beginning of Blue Lock, so C tier for Ego. Otoya is another character where my decision will cause a lot of controversy, I'm pretty sure. So Otoya gets into F, as he's just a very boring character in my opinion. He doesn't have much outstanding skills, hardly gets any screen time, even in the match against Best at Munich. I often just forget him. I don't know if Kaneshiro just forgot him or dropped him. Maybe he will become more important in the future. With Endoji and Fukaku, we got two characters who aren't important, so I will just skip them. They got their spot in F as well. Next on the list is Gagamaru, and Gagamaru is such an underrated character and also one of the fan favorites. I personally like Gagamaru as well, as he has a super unique playstyle and did really well in adjusting his game as goalkeeper, so I'm really excited to see what kind of techniques he will continue to develop to stop the world's best strikers. B tier for Gagamaru. The most hated character in the Blue Lock community, Ishizaki aka Igarashi, usually deserves the E tier, but I decided to put him into Z tier this time, because it's not that I like Igarashi, but at the same time I don't hate him, because Igarashi is in my opinion a pretty interesting character, and I'm excited to see what he will be able to do once he has performed his militia skill. C tier for Igarashi. Aichi, Hiragai and Hayate, Triple H, got their spots secured in F tier, as they aren't really important or didn't have any airtime so far, so we can skip them. Hayori is the next character that is interesting, and Hayori for me has always been the most underrated character in Blue Lock. You can check my video about Hayori if you haven't watched it yet, and for now Hayori is in B tier as a character that I find pretty cool, but he for sure has the potential to become one of my favorite characters, so we just have to wait a bit longer if he will be able to fulfill my expectations. The manager of the U20 also goes into F tier. Next up is Chigiri. And Chigiri has always been a character for me that I found a bit boring as he was limited to his speed only, but I love how they have portrayed Chigiri in the anime. He even got his own theme song, which is such a banger, and every time you hear this theme, you know Chigiri is about to do something special. B tier for Chigiri. Yamon, Team Z's daddy, is a character I've always liked. He has been forced into the goalkeeper position. And even managed to do a crucial save against Reo and was the first to lead Team Z after Kuron's betrayal. B tier for Yamon. The strategist, ikki Niko, joins naruhaya and Naiko and is one of my favorite characters. Although Niko isn't super tall, strong or fast, his tactical intelligence and ability to read the whole game from the back makes him one of the most underrated players in Blue Lock. Also his partnership with Okawa was just badass. S tier for Niko. Imamura joins D tier as he was completely useless and all I remember of him was his weird school romance drama. So yeah, let's just continue. Inaba, the goalie, in episode 1 of Kira's team, goes into F tier. Ishikari is actually one of the random characters I wanna see more in the future. In episode 1, we got the information that Ishikari is the tallest striker out of everyone, so to see him battling others would be awesome. D tier for Ishikari. Wakatsuki is another character that goes into F. Yoichi, the stamina beast and the most underrated character during the first selection, who had a MVP match performance against Team V. I'm really hyped to see Yoichi play in the match against Ubers, and Yoichi for now goes into B tier, but definitely is a character with the potential to become one of my favorite characters in the future maybe. Junichi Iwanima is an easy E tier. Although he's more likable than his brother Keisuke, I have to put him in E. I'm actually surprised that he's still in Blue Lock, as I think that we won't see much of him in the future, as he already fulfilled his purpose during the first selection arc. Ario is another solid character for me. His high jumping and right reach abilities are very unique, and he just sometimes gets on my nerves with his glam possession, but in general he's decent for me. Kaiser, a character like ego of the category love him or hate him. I personally never liked Kaiser that much, and I've always found him kind of, let's say, weird, especially with his childish behavior towards Isagi. I'm in general not a big fan of the whole Kaiser-Isagi feud, as it got very repetitive over the last 2 matches, but I'm excited to see what Kaiser will do in the future. I'm sure Kaiser will become Isagi's #1 rival during the World Cup arc, so I'm excited what will happen with Isagi and Kaiser in the World Cup arc. D for Kaiser. Neo has his spot in F. Like Junichi Iwanima, Keisuke is an easy E tier, just with the difference that he didn't even make it to the next rounds. Yukimiya. I gotta admit that he was a kind of difficult character to rate for me. Because in the beginning I didn't like Yukimiya very much, as he was kind of annoying for me at some point, but I can sympathize a lot with his background story and his desperate possession of becoming a pro footballer despite his eye disease, and after the recent match against manshine, he just became kinda likable for me. Kiora is another F tier character. Dark Kunigami is also difficult to rate for me.
My disappointment is immeasurable.
I love his new character design and was so happy when he returned, but unfortunately he has become so edgy and wasn't able to do an outstanding performance so far. I just have to put him into decent for now, but I'm faithful that the match against PXG will change everything. I love old Kunigami though, as he was the only character who was friendly towards Isagi at the beginning and also had a pretty cool motive why he joined Blue Lock. He instantly became one of my favorite characters. S for Hero Kunigami. The Trader goes into E. I actually don't hate Kron and was kinda cool with him in the end, but if I reconsider of how much he annoyed me in the W and V match, then there's no other way for me than to put him into E. Isagi's sidekick, Kurona. Who would have thought that Kurona would become a major character one day? Kurona had Isagi's back since day 1 in the new Eagles League and is a character with an awesome character design. B for Kurona. Lavinho. A pure baller with great skills and a great sense of humor. Especially his interactions with Noah are just hilarious, so B tier for Lavinho. His prodigy bachira and one of the most baddest characters since day 1 goes into A tier. I didn't like Bachira right from the start, but he grew on me through the series, and his hunger and fearlessness is just impressive. Especially after Team Z was down with 3 goals against V, he was the only one left with fighting spirit, and Bachira is a player who besides his trick 4 skills never gives up until the game is over, which is just kinda cool. Mbappe, aka Loki, the French wonderkid and speedster, goes into D as well. I can't wait to see him in the PXG against best at Munich match, and I'm wondering how he will handle the chemistry between Rin and Shido as their captain. D for Loki. Luna also goes in D and is like Loki a super interesting character with a great potential to play a major role in Zai's backstory, as he could be the reason why Zai buried his aspirations of becoming the world's best striker.
Nice throw!
Pro bowling player Darai goes into F tier. Nanase is just the definition of Mr. Nice Guy, and you just gotta like him. I think he won't be able to become a national player for Japan due to his lack of talent, but he deserves a spot in B as he's super nice. Neru goes into F tier. Kaiser's sidekick and tool Ness. In the first few chapters I actually liked Ness, but now he has become as annoying as Kaiser, which is why I have to put him in E. Nevertheless, objectively rated, Ness is one hell of a talented midfielder, and together with Kaiser, they are both basically unstoppable. The myth, the meme, the legend. Our always messy Nishioka. First of all, obviously we all wanna see him play, which is the reason why I first wanted to put him in D. But you know what? I decided to put him in B, as I like him for just being this never-ending meme. The greatest player of all time. Noah. He's actually nicer than he seems to be at first, and I think he's also a kind of cool mentor to Isagi. I wonder when and how Isagi will surpass his master. B for Noah. One of the coolest character designs and a great partnership with Ikki Niko, Okawa goes into B. Sadly we couldn't see more of him, but maybe he will appear once again in the wildcard arc. Reo, one of the greatest playmakers and all-rounders in the manga, is one of my favorite characters. Great character design and voice in the anime, but I gotta admit that I don't like him as much in the anime as in the manga, as he sometimes seems a bit creepy in the anime with his Nagi obsession, but I can't wait for him to appear in the anime with all the new techniques he's able to copy, and also a classic combination, pass from Reo to Nagi, will always be a special one. Rin, the man on the mission, goes into A tier. I liked Rin when I read the manga, but it was never like I got really hyped whenever I saw him. But now since the anime got released, man, Rin is for sure one of the characters that profited a lot from the anime release. He's just pure badass so far, and the only thing that stops him from being one of my favorite characters is his weird tongue thing. I hate it so much. I really hope I won't have to ever see it again. Kira. Always liked Kira, and I still think he got kind of screwed over. I'm also still sure that we will see Kira again at one point of the story, as his character design is just way too good, and we will see a rematch between Kira and Isagi one day for sure. So Kira, you are in D for now, so please come back. The demon himself, Shido. He sometimes is a bit too crazy for me and also too weird and edgy, but you gotta love Shido's playstyle and spectacular goals. He for sure had his special moments together with Zai, and I respect him a lot, so B tier for Shido. Kinda similar to Rin, a pure badass, and I can't wait to see him hopefully alongside his brother one day in the national team. He's so far the most talented player we got to see in the manga, as he can do literally everything. Maybe if Zai becomes good one day and drops the whole Itachi facade, he will be one of my favorite characters. A tier for Zai. Madara goes into F. Nagi is another character that I always found kind of cool, but never paid much attention to. But like Rin, he profited so much from the anime, as it's just so fun to watch his plays in the anime, and I always thought that he wasn't really smart and just a typical lazy character, which he basically isn't. He grew on me thanks to the anime and became one of my favorite characters. I mean, look at this. The king. Do you know where kings should be? Right, at the top. Has always been one of my favorite characters and will always be one of my favorite characters. I mean, he had one of the, if not the best introduction ever. Shiguma always reminds me of another anime character, but I don't know who. F tier for him. Sendo, the ace of the U20. Yeah, I rated him too high the last time, but I still think that he isn't useless, and he did some important plays for Shido during the U20 match, as he was Shido's shadow man to create space and distracted the other defenders. B tier for Sendo. Powerhouse Dada Silver is another character who seems to be pretty cool, and for now he's also a D tier character who I want to see in the future. Sakura goes into F tier. Karazu, Blue Lock's Heart, and Engine. He's a character that I didn't pay much attention to at all in the beginning, but since the U20 match he became one of my favorite characters. Karazu's one of these guys that you can always rely on, who are always cool in their own unique way, as they are just super sovereign in whatever they do. And now it seems like he will have a feud with Hayori in the PXG Best at Munich match. I'm definitely hyped for it. Tada. Man, Tada. First he missed that easy tap in, and then he disrespected Isagi at their reunion. Stay where you belong, Tada, at the bottom. Tanaka is in F tier. Kitsune Sato is in F tier as well. Our man, the main guy, Isagi. I don't know why, but Isagi has never been one of my favorite characters, as something about his character design has always bothered me, and as I've always found his playstyle kind of uninteresting. But nevertheless, he's the one whose journey we are supporting and following, and who we wanna see at the top. And recently Isagi has evolved insanely fast and has become one of the best players there are, which is awesome to see. A tier for Isagi. Yuzo's in F tier. He reminds me so much of Uraume from JJK, by the way. Last but not least, we got Santetsu. If Santetsu is going to have his moment in the Best at Munich X PXG match, I will be mad. Santetsu is such a great character, who doesn't get enough credit from the fans, and to this day is the only character who gave Jigiri a lot of trouble, and at the same time was able to score many goals with his explosive acceleration. Santetsu for B tier. Alright guys, this is my tier list based on personal popularity. Let me know who your favorite characters are in the comments below, and as always, stay safe and have a nice day.